Hello, Habari Africa. Welcome all kings and queens, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Let us thank God for keeping you alive. We have met again in our platform to share our thoughts, ideas, and finding some best solutions for our challenges. Or to share my thoughts is the issue of African Union visa. Of course, it is a great idea to have African Union visa where Africans will move free in this continent. As Raila said, that not only Raila, many Africans have been lamented that how is it possible that the Frenchmen can use the French passport to move around the continent, while Africans needs to have almost 34 visas to move around the continent, and all those visas you need to pay for fees. So it is difficult almost for African businessmen or businesswomen to compete with Chinese, with Europeans, because of these visas restrictions. So Mr. Raila has addressed to abolish or to introduce African Union visa. So my question is, why Africans, especially our leaders, didn't see this, that this is a problem that is undermining development in the continent of Africa? Why it is waiting maybe to Mr. Raila? In the previous, they didn't see these challenges. Also, Mr. Raila has spoken about the issue of African Union to become the talking shop, and of course this has been, many people have been lamented about this, that it looks like the jamborees where old men meet as a club, not to discuss something that is critical for the continent of Africa. So Mr. Raila said that he will change those behavior where people will go to Addis Ababa just only for talking, as a talking shop. So we have to change the African Union to become the continental board that is going to provide decisions, better decisions, and finding solutions for challenges facing the continent of Africa. For instance, you know very well that Africans, we agreed to silence the gun by the year 2020, but because of these kind of things that Raila has said, the issue of just going there to talk, we are not implementing, and we failed to silence the gun. And now you see the continent is suffering with some conflicts, civil wars. So we need a continental body that can intervene and make sure that the peace is in the continent of Africa. And also Mr. Raila has spoken about the issue of young people. Of course, young people can be blessing or sometimes can become a bad luck, because these young people, if are not being treated well, they can become threat to the continent, where they will engage in some labors or some conflicts. So we need to give young people opportunities, and to give these young people opportunities. As you see here, people are working hard here, they have no opportunities. We have resources, we have minerals, but people are just suffering. These minerals that have been here in the continent of Africa has already taken by the Europeans, by the Chinese. So to give young people, especially African people, opportunities is to allow Africans to work in their resources. Let us allow young people to operate in their minerals. You know, the previous generation has privatized our resources, given these resources to the colonizers or our former colonizers through the technique of investors. They came as investors because they have money, they have printed a lot of papers called money, and they give us. At the end of the day, we surrender our resources. Now you see the challenges that young people has no jobs. Africans, we don't have industries. Why? Because we have surrendered our resources in the hands of our former colonizers in the aim of saying that they are investors. So I think Mr. Raila has spoken very well. If this will be implemented, the problem of Africa is not about talking. We have good, we have good speeches. We talk very well. We have good English. We speak very well, whether in French We know how to speak, but when it comes to the issue of implementation or taking action, that is where Africans we failed. So I think the time has come for with the people of Africa to give opportunities to young people. Let us give young people. You see, the young people are working hard, as you see here. People are just working hard to break these stones. Just imagine if this was just the mines of gold or diamond, how much these young people are getting. But when we discover resources like diamond, gold, you find that those things has been taken by the governments, and then finding someone we call them investors. Even today, if you discover resources in the continent of Africa, you will see that investors are coming very fast. Someone will tell you there's gold mine here, there's something you can get money, come and invest. So instead of building capacities to our young men and women so that they can learn those mines, they can learn those industries, we don't believe in ourselves, we believe on others. And that's why you see young people are suffering with a shortage of job opportunities. And sometimes the same people, we Africans, we lament and we cry that our young men are running away from this continent. They are down into Mediterranean Sea. They lost their lives. They crossed Saharan desert. And why these young people are running away? But the source is we Africans, those who are in power. They didn't create a good environment to make sure that young people are going to work in their resources. They are going to become innovative, to generate jobs. You know, one thing that I don't understand is that we think that there's someone who is in Europe, maybe Chinese or Frenchman, Norwegian, anyone that who is there and thinking about Africa, that he's coming to help the young people of Africa, to give them jobs. No one is there. Everyone that you see here in the continent are coming to do business, to make money. No one is in China, in Europe, or in America thinking that I'm here to help the young people of Africa, or I was born to help the young people of Africa. No one is there. So kings and queens, we need to understand that we, the people of Africa, we need to create a good environment to build capacities to our young people so that they can add value to our resources. And through that, this continent can become industrialized. If you look at the map of Africa and the continent of Africa very keenly, you understand that Africa, we have everything. And of course, I have listened to President Paul Kagame saying the same issue, that Africa, we have everything, but we have to blame ourselves for doing what is good and right for ourselves. If you talk about source of energy, we have source of energy. We have sun, we have waterfalls, we have geothermal, we have waves, we have uranium, everything we have here in the continent of Africa. If you talk about agriculture, we have horrible land, we have fertile land, we have enough place where we can conduct agriculture and feed ourselves. But why Africans we don't do that? That is the question that we need to ask. It's because Africans, we have surrendered our resources into hands of other people whom we call investors. These investors are not for the benefit of the continent, are here for the benefit of themselves. And that's why you see these resources are being taken as raw materials. Why? Because those investors are coming to create jobs for their children, for their people. So they take these resources into law forms so that their young people, their engineers, their innovators can get jobs, can do research, can get jobs and make a lot of money from our own resources. And also you heard about the issue of how China has grown and succeeded to lift people from poverty. But China has succeeded because of industrialization, and many of the resources that has been used in Chinese industries are coming from Africa. So that is the question. If Chinese are using African resources to lift their people from poverty, what's wrong for we, the people of Africa, to use our own resources to lift our people from poverty? It is possible, kings and queens. And I see that if Africans, we can come together we can work together, it will be easy. As Mr. Raila said, disunity. This continent, we are so divided so much. We are so divided into francophone, anglophone, lusophone, Arabic phone. We are not afrophone. I think the time has come to become afrophone so that we can concentrate more on the issue of Africa instead of thinking about Europeans or Arabs and other civilization. We Africans, we don't love ourselves, and that's the big problem that we have here in the continent of Africa. So, my dear kings and queens, with those few words, few remarks, or few comments from what I heard from Mr. Raila, let me say thank you. I'm waiting to hear also from you. What is your opinion? Do you see Mr. Raila is going to change the African Union? Or a lot from Mr. Raila, and I'm very happy Mr. Raila has spoken the truth of Mr. challenges facing the continent of Africa. Let us wait and see what will happen. Especially in the African Union, he's spoken very well that sometimes the African Union looks like the shopping talk, where elders, old men and women are going there just to enjoy, not to provide solutions for African challenges. And of course, we need to reform the African Union, as many leaders have been saying that our African Union should be the continental body that is going to provide solutions for our challenges. Also on the issue of free movement of people and disunity, disunity has always been there since our founding fathers came together to try to unite the continent. But these former colonizers robbed some leaders to make sure that the continent is still under colonial borders. And till today we are under colonial borders, and these colonial borders are things that have been put in place to make sure that Africa continue to be divided. And if we continue to be divided, it means we continue to be managed by our former colonizers. So we need to abolish these borders, and that's the thing that I don't know what's wrong and what is difficult for our leaders to come together to say that from now on we are going to have a single visa. We are going to have to remove these borders to allow Africans to move free from one place to another. If the Frenchman with French passport can move across the continent without being asked about visas or any kind of papers, but why it's difficult for Africans, and why Africans are being punished? Because the Africans, as we heard from Mr. Raila, that Mr. Aliko Dangote, one of the richest African business, always facing difficulty to move across the continent. He needed to have almost 34 African visas to move around his continent. But the Frenchmen are allowed to move free in this continent. Why Africans we are doing like that? And what's wrong for we Africans to say we are African, this is our continent, let us move free? Sometimes people are talking about the issue of security, that someone maybe will come threat or something like that. But let me ask you one thing. You see these terrorists, they do something, they attack somewhere, then they move from that area to another area, from one country to another country, without being asked for visas. If terrorists who are bad, who are doing bad things, can move free from one country to another, we have seen these terrorists crossing borders and no one is asking them. They do what they do, they rob, and sometimes they kill people, but no one is asking about them on the issue of visas. But when it comes to good people, if you want to follow the right path, you will face a lot of challenges. Why Africans we do like that? I think we need to change the way we think and the way we see things, and that's why I'm very happy with what Mr. Raila has said. But one thing that I want to caution to Mr. Raila. The problem is not about the African Union. The problem is with the people of Africa who are members of the African Union. Leaders, our politics is not right. We have politics that is not for the interest of the continent. So you find that, and I've been saying this many times, we have political parties that have been sponsored by the West. Always they will be there to serve the interest of the West. So we need light politics in our mother continent Africa, not these politics or these political parties that has been sponsored by the West. If you see, or if you see that the Europeans are coming to finance you, to give you money in order for you to become a president, you must understand that these people are there for their interest. Those money must come. So they are trying to put you into power so that you can learn their agendas. And that's why you see, for almost 60 years since independence, Africans, we are not united. Africa, we are not coming together. We are speaking the same issues. Every now and then we are speaking about unity. What's difficult for us to come together? What's wrong for our leaders to sit down one day in Addis Ababa and say, from now and then we are going to have single visa for Africa. We are going to have African Union visa, as Mr. Raila said. And I'm saying this because even Mr. Raila, he will become a chairperson of the African Union. But if these puppet leaders are still in power, nothing will change, because always Mr. Raila himself cannot implement everything. He needs support from member countries, but if these member countries are under puppet regimes, nothing will change. So I think Africans, we need to examine ourselves, to ask ourselves, everyone who are leaders, who are African, what are you doing in your position to serve the interests of Africa? And now you see Mr. Trump has come to power, so be prepared. Those who are thinking about that we are going to get aid, so be prepared to find your own money. Trump will not give us money. So Africans, we need to wake up to make Africa great. While Trump and the European Union are making their countries great again, let us Africans also come together and say we are going to make our continent great. On the issue of young people, and of course we have these resources, young people. Africa, if we have something that is like gold right now, is the issue of this manpower, young people. We have a lot of young people, energetic, that can change this continent. The problem that we have, we are not giving them opportunities. We are not facilitating them. We are not building capacities to them so that they can learn some businesses here in the continent of Africa. You know, we Africans, we think that to have industries, we need the Chinese, we need the Europeans, we need the Americans. No, these young men and women, if we can give them power, we can allow them to add value to our resources. They can change something. They can change resources. They can change situation. They can add value. So I think the time has come to make sure that we allow our young men and women to add values to our resources. These young men have been in school for many years. Some of them, they are professionals. So I think we need to give them opportunities to allow them to become investors in our resources instead of sitting with the Chinese. You know, sometimes you wonder that you see ministers or some leaders going to Europe. They tell us they are going to seek investors. Instead of they use a lot of money, taxpayer money. They use a lot of money instead of taking those amounts and build capacities to African people so that they can start small businesses. Instead of doing such kind of things, you see leaders are going to Europe, are going to America, they are doing shopping with their families, and they tell us that they are there to find investors. Why they have left investors here in the continent of Africa? We Africans don't believe that Africans or black people can become investors. We think that investors must become white people. So that is the problem that we have. So we need to change our mentalities. And that's why yesterday I listened to Mr. Duma Boko saying that we have colonial engulf. So we think that good things can be done by white people. And that's why when it comes to find investor, we don't find Africans, we find Chinese, we find Europeans, we find the Americans, not black Americans, Americans who are white. So I think we need to change the way we think and the way we do things. Um, on the issue of raw materials, we are exporting, of course, raw materials instead of adding value. I think the time has come, as I said, we need to give young people opportunities. And if there is something that is showing that African young people are so creative and they can change things, let us look what Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing. Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing wonders, and that is the symbol of showing that young Africans are the game changers. So I think Mr. Raila, if you become the African Union Commission chair, you need to work with young people. Elders are tired; they need to retire to go home and play with their grandchildren there. Let us leave position to young people. Young people can learn this continent very well, and to prove that, you remember when our founding fathers fought for independence. At that time, they are young. They are not old men and women at that time. They are young, and that's why they succeeded to bring this political independence. So this time, let us give opportunity to young people to give Africa economic independence. It is possible. It is possible. So, my dear King Citizen, let us not speak too long. I'm waiting to hear from you, from what you heard from Mr. Raila. So, I'm just trying to add something from the speech of Mr. Raila. Thank you.